Hello everyone, welcome to this Pandora FMS workshop. My name is Kevin Rojas and I will be your guide today. This time we will see how to get the most out of our WUX server, our user experience server. Right. While we wait for more people to come, I'll let you know what we are going to do in this workshop. Right. Well, um, before that, I hope you can understand what I say. The volume is right. You can see the screen. Okay. Hope so. Please let me know in the comments if you have some any issues or don't understand anything. All right. So as I was saying, today we are going to see how to install this user experience server, this WUX. We'll see how to configure Pandora so we can work with it. We'll create a simple transaction, right? So we can see how it works, and we'll see the modules that it creates. We'll see the amount of information that we can retrieve with this monitoring. Later on, we will take a glance on some more advanced commands on how to monitor this, and we'll learn at last how to debug the whole process just in case something goes wrong. Right. So again, any questions you may have, please just ask. I will do my best to answer your questions. There's a bit of delay in the chat from what you are seeing and what I do see, but in any case, I will try to answer the questions as soon as possible. All right. Okay, so let's get started. Well, before we start, I want to let you know where to get more information on this topic, okay, the WUX configuration. There is a link in the documentation on the wiki that I'm going to follow for this, at least for the first part, the installation part. Okay, you can get there using the documentation for Pandora. Here, user experience monitoring. Okay, just click here, and it will lead you to the article that I'm going to follow today. Here you can learn most of the things that we're going to see today. I will explain a few more things, more advanced things that are not here, but these are the, as I say, the advanced things, the most essential steps, how to install, how to perform the transactions, and so on. Is everything here. Okay. So first of all, we know what we need to do is, well, what is this all about, right? What is this user experience? What is WUX monitoring? I have an issue here. Well, WUX server is a Pandora FMS component. It is like a robot that allows you to simulate web browsing sessions. It is useful to to try and imitate the way a human being would browse a web page, right? The thing is that this robot simulates these user actions and browsing, and give us some information we can use as latencies, timeouts, if the some process is running fine. Okay, that would allow us to see the status of our web servers, or even in some cases our network. Okay, so well, this is the architecture that we are going to use, and is basically the Pandora FMS server and Selenium grid. Okay, this is what we are going to use for simulating these user actions. This would be the robot. Okay, so there's something I often use to explain how this user experience works. And it's an example about an online shopping service. Okay, let's say that want to buy something on the internet, right? So the first thing we would do is, well, go to the web page. Then we would log into our account. Maybe we will look for the item that we want to purchase and put it in the shopping cart. Okay, then we have to perform the checkout, put our credit card, our address, information, blah blah blah. Okay, so if we were the company behind that online shop, we would want to make sure that this process is as seamless and easy as we want, as we can, sorry, so we can prevent the user to get frustrated. Frustrated user is basically customer lost. Okay, so sometimes it's not enough to monitor the status of our devices and services locally. I mean, we can be monitoring with our Pandora FMS server and agents remotely, locally, with several modules, and it might be that it says that everything is running fine in terms of well, CPU, memory, disk, the services that are running, whatever. Okay, but at the same time, could be that our customers are complaining about the process for being slow, for example, right? This happens actually, and it's mostly caused by the sometimes huge amounts of points of failure that we have. Okay, could be, for example, a network connectivity issue, or maybe the customer has a slow network and it's not our fault. Okay, or maybe it is, and one of our databases is restricting the amount of queries that are allowed to process, whatever. Okay, or it might not even be a single thing, but the interaction of many small issues. Okay, you name it. It could be lots of things. With this robot, with WUX, what we can do is simulate this user action. So we could, in this case, make the whole process with the robot, the whole purchase process, just as a human being would do. Okay, by, well, logging in, looking for the item, whatever. Okay, this will help us detect the source of the issue. Could be that there is a bottleneck in database access, for example. Right, this helps us to get that information. So let's get started with the installation. Enough theory. Okay, again, I will repeat this a lot. Please let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I will read the comments from now and then and try to answer the questions as soon as possible. Alright, so getting back at the wiki here, you can see that we have two options, Selenium 3 and Selenium 2. Today we're going to use the former, Selenium 3, because it is more capable. It's something that we added compatibility not long ago, and well, it's more capable, and we've made the installation process a lot easier. Previously we had to install some dependencies like Java, for example. We had to install a specific version of Firefox so Selenium IDE worked, and well, we've made that process a lot easier with Selenium 3 and Docker. Okay, we are going to use Docker and Docker Compose to get the this hub running. Okay, this Selenium hub running. You can see that here is a Docker Compose file. Okay, this is what we are going to use to run this. Let's just copy it and paste it to the Docker host that we have that we're going to use. Right? In this case, it's my own computer, but in any case, that would be the host. So I hope this the terminal is big enough so you can understand. If it's not, well, I will get a bigger anyway. So I will create this file, docker compose YAML file. Okay, we just have to copy this contents in this file. I already did before, so I could prepare this workshop. So it's already done, but it's basically like that. Now we are going to run this compose command. Okay, we just write docker compose -f file, the name of the file. Okay, this name can be whatever you need. Okay, I just put a like docker compose so it was easier to understand. And up-d. Okay, what this does is running this docker in as daemons, right? So we can keep using the terminal as the same way as before. Okay, let's do it. Okay, chances are that this is going to take a bit more time the first time that you do this, because Docker will download the images, the Selenium and Firefox images, well, and Chrome. It will have to download them and run them after that. I already have them in my machine, so it's a lot faster in this case. But well, in any case, it's the same. Okay. Once that this is running, this Docker Compose is running, we can access this grid. Okay. We just have to put the IP address of the Selenium host, of the Docker host actually. Okay, put this 4444 port /grid/console. Okay, and it will take us to this page here. Whoop, didn't load yet. This sometimes happens. I'll get it up again. It will take us to this page in which we can see the status of our nodes. Okay, there are they. Okay, one WebDriver for Firefox and another one for Chrome, Google Chrome. Okay, we can increase the number of WebDrivers for both of them. We just have to do it like scale Firefox 3, for example, and it would actually add 2 more workers here. Okay, I won't do it because of memory restraints in my computer, but it's something that you can do without having this, without having to turn this down. Okay, once Docker is up and running, we must configure Pandora to use this Selenium Hub, to connect to this hub and perform the transactions that we are going to create later. Let's do that. Let's just go to Pandora and open the etc pandora server.conf file, the configuration file of the Pandora server. Okay, here we look for this WUX server. Okay, we have to enable it. We have to set the IP address of the Docker host, right? The port by default is 4444. If you want to change this, you have to set it as well in Pandora server. Okay, but well, by default is this port. You don't have to take care of these 2 options. These are a bit more advanced. So let's close the file and restart the server so the changes are updated. System ctl restart Pandora server. We restart the service. Okay, and we can go to the server page now. We will have this option here, WX server. Okay, this lets us know that the Docker Hub, that the Selenium Hub, sorry, is up running and is connected to Pandora. Okay, we can use this to perform the transactions, the web transactions. Right. All right. So everything is installed in the server side, at least. Now we need to download and install the extension for the browser. Okay, here at the same wiki page we can get the extensions. They're all here. Here they are. Okay, there are extensions for Firefox and for Chrome. Okay, you just have to click in these links and install the extension. In this case, I'm going to use Chrome. So here it is. Okay, it's already installed because I did it before. This is the IDE that we are going to use. Let's get back. And once that it's installed, it will appear in this option here at the top right. Okay, we just click and it will open up this IDE window. Okay, alright, everything's done right now. Everything's prepared. Let's try and create a simple transaction. I will use the Pandora FMS blog for that. Okay, this one. And let's say that I want to, for example, check that we have the release article for the latest version. Okay, I know that this is here in Enterprise, Pandora FMS 749 in this case, release. Okay, I want to make sure that this is working, that this exists. Okay, so I will create this a transaction that checks that. Okay, let's get back to the IDE and click here, record a new test in a new project. Let's call it like workshop blog, for example. Here in base URL, you have to put the base URL that you want to monitor. In this case, is the first step. Okay, in this case is the blog. We click on Start Recording, and as you can see, a new window has appeared. Okay, it's not the same as I had before. So there's an icon here, a prompt that says that it's recording. So let's do it. I will get this. I will take this here, so you can see that it adds some things. All right, so let's do the same as before. Click on blog, enterprise. Okay, as you can see, there are new things here, and click on Pandora FMS 749 release. Okay, that's it for now. Let's click on stop recording. I provided a name like blog. Okay, all right, we have our first transaction in Selenium IDE. As you can see, it has been very easy. Actually, we just have made a few clicks. Let's hit this button, run current test, so we can see what it did. Alright, in case you missed it, because it was very quick, it repeated the whole process. It went to blog, okay, then clicked on blog, enterprise, and the 749 release. Alright, this is something that we are going to handle later, the speed of these transactions, because right now this is, well, this is not needed right now. Right now, we are just performing a very simple transaction. Okay, just checks that this exists, basically. Okay, but we are going to see that it's better to have a bit of control to check that it actually is doing what we need it to do. Okay, we'll see that later. Before we get to that, let's add this transaction to Pandora so you can see what it does. Click here, Save Project, and I will keep it here, X, and I will put it like blog workshop, just for example. Okay, start. So, okay, it's already start. So we can use now this .side file to add this monitoring to Pandora. I have an agent over here already working with WX. Here it is, with WX monitoring. This is an example that we were going to see later. As you can see, it's a bit more complex, more advanced. But well, let's create it from scratch. Click on Modules. Okay, Management View, always. Modules, and we have this new option here. Create a new web analysis module. Okay, let's click on Create. Let's put name to it, blog. Let's set a server for it. We only have this one, and I'm going to run it from Chrome because it's what I'm using. Actually, it shouldn't be any difference between Firefox and Chrome in this case, at least. But I will go into use Chrome. As you can see, there are two options here: Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge. These are other options that we can use. In this case, we are restricted to Firefox and Chrome because we are using Docker. Okay. In case we wanted to use Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge, we would need to install a Selenium Hub in a Windows machine. Okay, as it's a bit more long as a process, it's easy, but it's a bit more a bit longer. I just rolled it out from this workshop, but you have the instructions here, okay, in the wiki. So let's keep it simple and use Google Chrome, and let's use the file that we just created, this blog.site file. This is basically a JSON file. We select that file and click here. This is important. Okay, as you can see, this is, as I was saying, a JSON file, and it includes the information that we have recorded with this ID. Okay, let's create a module, and it will now initiate the transaction. That's it. It's running the transaction right now automatically. So in a few seconds, it should show us a few modules, a few new modules here. Let's see. There we go. These three elements. Let's filter it, because otherwise it would be harder to see. Okay, so we have these three elements. Blog. This is the module that I created and contains the actual execution, the actual file that the ID is going to work with. And these new two modules, global status and global time. The first one tells us if the transaction has been completed successfully, right? The whole transaction in this case, and it tells us this one tells us how much time it took to perform that transaction. Okay. this is basically the only information that we have here right now. As you could see, as you have might see before, um, the other transaction that I had is a lot more complex, right? In part, that is because of the faces. I created a few faces, phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, okay, that help us to get a more grained information of what is happening, right? If I go here to the Wix console right now and click on the transaction that we just created, if I see that transaction, we will see this. It shows the transaction was a success, and it took 5 seconds as total in connection and performing all the steps. It took 5 seconds, right? But the thing is that this is not very useful right now. It's just telling us that, well, it did it fine and it took 5 seconds. That's all it says. If we go to this one, SourceForge, well, that's something better, right? We have 3 phases. We have some other statistics. These are actually connectivity statistics. Okay, so it's a bit more useful. Okay, we can know that if something happens in this phase, for example, it's the phase for enter files, whatever this is, we're going to see later. But for getting a view like this, we need to configure the transaction accordingly. All right, so let's get back to our transaction. Whoops, sorry, let's go back here. Let's go back to our transaction. And here it is. Okay, so right now the only thing that we are doing is connecting to the blog page and making a few clicks to get to this page, this Pandora FMS 749 release. Alright, this is not enough. This is going to fail, basically. What we need to do is, apart from performing these, creating these faces, as I told you before, we will see that later. Apart from doing this, we need to make sure that each of the steps that we take is getting the information that we need to. Okay, for example, in this case, let's run this up to here, play to this point. We run this command. Okay, that's it. We just click on blog, and we didn't click on enterprise. I think it's better if I click here and run the transaction up to this point. Okay, that's it. Better. So here, when we get to this enterprise category, the best thing that we could do is at least check that the page has loaded, right? And maybe we just clicked it, but there's no information on the page. We have an error in the server, or maybe it just didn't load yet. Okay, there are several things that we can do here. First of all, let's create an option for making this transaction a bit slower. Okay, I don't want this to happen. Okay, it went too fast. If this page, for any reason, was a bit slower, as it is simply performing clicks, it would fail because it might try to click in a link that doesn't exist yet. Right? So there are 2 things that we have to do here. First of all, we can configure the speed of the whole process to be slower, okay, which I will do because it will also help us to understand what is happening. let's do it. So new command, set speed and 1000. This is going to configure the speed of this process. So it's a bit slower. It will wait for a second. These are milliseconds. Okay, so it's going to wait a second between each of the steps. Okay, let's do it again. You'll see that this, okay, it's a bit slower and easier for us to understand what is happening then. Okay, so this is the first thing that we can do. The second thing, and actually the best one, is creating sanity checks, actually, right? So now that we are in this page, for example, we can check that before we click on this link, we can check that it exists. Okay, let's do it. Let's click on recording here on start recording, and it will add new steps below this fifth step in this case. Okay. I will right click this link. So you can see a new option for the Selenium IDE has appeared, and I will try to, for example, use this one. Wait for present. Okay. Right now, this is, let's stop the recording. This is waiting for this link to exist before we click it. Alright, this alone is a huge improvement on what we had before. Okay, let's get rid of this and run it again so we can see what happens. Oh, it didn't work for some reason. Just a minute. I'm going to use something different. No, not really. Oh, right. Sorry, this is my fault. I did not specify a timeout. Okay, I forgot that. This one, the same as the set speed command, needs a target time. Set speed works with time to wait between steps, and in this case, we need to specify a timeout for this element to exist. In this case, the same is milliseconds. If this link doesn't exist, it's not available, at least in 30 seconds. In this case, the entire transaction will fail. Okay, let's get it a bit lower because 30 seconds is a lot of time. And let's run it again. It should work now. Click on Block Enterprise. Okay, the element exists, and then we click on it. Right now, we have the same issues before. We clicked here. We clicked at this link, but we actually right now don't care whether it works or not. We just clicked it. It might have exploded that we wouldn't noticed. So we need to add something here. We need to add a check that tells us that this is actually working. I will do it differently. I won't do this recording thing. I will just click here at the last step, well, the last blank step basically, and add something. I will add, for example, let's say verify text. Okay, verify text, and instead of copying, I'll just use this option. Select target in page. Let's click here, and this is like the developer tools of the browser. We just click here, for example, and there we go. We have this target. We are checking this this paragraph in this case. All right. We will need to actually tell it that so it checks that this text exists in this paragraph. Okay. So what this is going to do is compare the value that we've set here with the one that exists. Actually, they actually exist in this section. Okay. If it works fine, it will go to OK. It will do an OK, and if not, it will go critical. Let's check. Play from here. Okay, it's fine. But if I do this, for example, and do it again, sorry, here. Okay, wrong. It doesn't match. Okay. Now that I'm here, by the way, there is another way to do this. Okay, so let's get rid of this. There's another way to check that this text exists, one that doesn't require us to copy the actual text of the section. Right? We can use this. Okay, in this target section, in this target option, we can click it, and as you can see, there are 4 options here. One that uses CSS, as it does by default, and other 3 that use XPath. Okay, they use relative ID, position, or the inner text. We're going to use this one. Sorry, I did it too quickly. We're going to use this one, the last one, because I think it's easier to understand what it does. Okay, so here we are checking that there is here in this page a specific section that contains this text. Okay, as we are not checking a specific location but a string, a text string, we can do this. Whoop. Even this. Okay, if we click here, well, just a minute. Oh, we need to change this to verify element present, because what we are checking right now is that something here exists here with this information in it. Okay, if I click here on this in this button here, it tells us that there is a section here that contains this text, these release notes. Okay, I think that this makes things easier, because we are just checking a part of the string instead of the whole one, and well, that helps us to understand how XPath works. Right? Okay, we have improved this this a lot, but there's something that we didn't do, is the phases. Okay, we didn't separate this this process in phases. This is very important, as I told you before, to get better information on how it's working, and if there is any issue in any of the steps, it will help us to get that information. Okay, so let's do it. Let's right click in anywhere in this transaction and click on insert new command. Here we will need to set phase start colon the name of the phase, for example begin, like this. Okay, and very important, we have to disable the command. Okay, because this is a command that only Pandora uses, and if we let it enabled, Selenium IDE won't understand what we are saying, and it will fail. Okay, we are just going to comment it, and that's it. So phase start, and we're going to do something else. Phase here, for example. Phase end, colon, same name, begin. We comment it out, and this whole thing will be a phase right now. We could start the phase later, but well, let's keep it like that. Let's add a second one. Phase begin, check page. We comment it out, and the same as before. Phase end, check page. Okay, let's run the transaction to see if it works, and if it does, we will start it, we will save it, and apply it again to Pandora. Okay, it worked. Here, blog site, this one. Okay, let's get back to our module here. Let's click again on this option and click on blog site. We add the file again, it will blink for a second. We update it, and let's force the execution. We will wait for a few seconds. It will take a few seconds to load. You can see that it's like grayed out. That's because it's working right now. Okay, it already finished. There we go. Let's filter. Okay, so now we have oh, I messed up with something. Yes, I did. Just a minute. First begin. It's not phase begin, it's phase start. And phase end. Okay. I'll do it again. But well, this helps us to see this option here, this new module, this screenshot. Okay. As I messed something up and this command is not supported, it first it goes to critical status. Okay, it fails, and secondly, it creates a new module, which is a screenshot, and there it is. Okay, it lets us know what was being shown on the page when this error when we encounter this error. Okay, in this case it's something that I did wrong, but it could be that for example the page wasn't loading, or maybe a server issue, something like that. Okay, I will fix this. Be a second. Oh, I didn't update, I think. Sorry. Log add file update. There we go. And now we force the execution. So we will have 2 phases instead of 1. Let's see how it is. It's working. Okay, it ended. Okay, that's it. Okay, first phase begin, and second phase check page. Each of them took their own time. If we go here to the Wix console, we can check. Okay, it's a bit better. Bear in mind that the whole transaction takes into account the time that we spend in comments as well. Okay, this phase start, this set speed, open, this this kind of commands are included in this transaction time. Okay, just bear that in mind. Okay, it's actually much better right now. All right, so let's see the other transaction. This one is more complex. It actually is formed of only these modules. Okay, from here below, these transactions, these modules, sorry, have been created by this option, run performance tests. Okay, when we create a transaction like this one, we can specify a target website, in this case the one for SourceForge that we are going to use in this process, to get statistical information about it, meaning how much time it takes to load the page or to respond, something like that. Okay, it creates these modules here: time spent in retrieved resources, CSS resources, images resources, and so on. Okay, that's the easiest thing about this. Let's open the transaction so you can see it's a bit more complicated. Open project, and this one. There we go. What this transaction does is that it connects to, well, it goes to SourceForge, our project web page, and checks that a specific file exists. Right? Let's perform the transaction so you can see. It opens the page. Well, let's do it again, because that was not running. Let's do it again. Okay, these are faces. It clicks on this files option. We click on Pandora FMS 7. Okay. And then we start with the interesting things. I will explain this later. But what this does is that it basically checks the first link here in this option, in this section, sorry, and it checks the date that was modified last. Okay, so it checks the modifying date, and if it matches a specific string, in this case is this month, is September. If it matches this string, it will click here. Okay, I'll show it here. It will click there and get into an if. Okay, what the last thing that this does is create a new module here, this one, last update, that shows us the month and the year in which this update was uploaded. Okay, so let's see how this is done. So first of all, this is pretty simple. We just set the speed, we start the faces. Okay, I will ignore these faces here. We open the page, we set the window size, and we make a few adjustments in the page. So for example, we scroll a bit down, we hover over the option, this option, we click. Okay, and this is where things start to get interesting. We store the text. Okay, we actually save the text of this section, which is, by the way, here. this one, okay, this section, we store the text in a variable. Store text from this section and this variable called test, okay, and we execute this script, okay. This is not really important. This is simply a JavaScript execution. It simply checks if there is a text that matches a specific string. Okay, this 2020-09. This is all that we are doing. This is not really important in this step. I don't want to make this make this harder than it is. The important thing here is that we are performing this script that checks if this box here contains a specific text, okay, and it stores the output in this other variable, okay. Then we put a condition. If this variable is it's giving 1, meaning that it matches the string that we've set, it will do this. Okay, it will echo, meaning that it's going to show this string here in this log, and it is going to create with this command. This is an internal command from Pandora. This module that I was showing before. Okay, this last update module. Okay, this is a command that you can check in the documentation. It's basically the command get value, the name of the module that we're going to create, the type of the data that we want to create the module with, and the data itself. Okay, so in this case, it went here and created this module with this output. Okay, if it didn't match this this string that I've set, it will go to this one, to this condition, this else condition, and it will create the same module but with a different data. Okay, in this case, from the last month. All right. After this, the only thing that we do is click in this option and check that this is present. Okay, this element is present. This is all that we do. Okay, so as you can see, it has it is a bit more complex, but it's also more powerful, as we can configure Selenium to do different things depending on the information that we are receiving from the web page. Okay, we can make this even more dynamic. We could, for example, configure this instead of using specific strings that we've set here. We can create macros in Pandora. Actually, I do have some macros here. If I go to this module, here in custom macros, we have this two macros, this month and last month. If you're familiar to Pandora, you will know that these macros between underscores are basically well, variables. They are replaced in Pandora execution. Okay, actually in this case these underscores are not needed. You can put it like this, but I think it's easier, more understandable, and well, faster actually, to keep it like this. Don't worry about this, because it's something that is explained in the wiki. Actually, it's basically showing the format, the date, the actual date, in this format, year dash month. Okay, same as I had here. this format. Okay, so the good thing about this is that as this is a variable, this is let's say a script, I can let this running and never have to change this again. Okay, it might be that this could be working for years, and as long as this page, this SourceForge page, stays the same, this will work, because this dynamically will take the date of the last month. Okay, so I have this transaction, this same transaction, I have it configured in Pandora's way. Let's say it's over here, so you can see that there are a few changes that we can include. This one, here it is, right? This month, last month. These are these macros that are here. And when we run this from Pandora, instead of using these strings, they will be replaced by the dates that we configured and work as exactly as the other one, as the other version. Okay, obviously this is something that the Selenium IDE won't understand. Okay, we will have to configure this here in Pandora console for it to work, right? But other than that, it's basically the same, right? Okay, I think this is all for this part, and I just wanted to mention a few more things before we end this with this workshop. I want to show you how to debug these executions. All right. So let's say that we have, for example, this transaction that is kind of complex, let's say, and something is failing and we don't know why. We have several options. We can use this log. Okay, so when we run a transaction, as you can see, it will show us the different steps that are taken and the output of those steps. Okay, we run the script, or we scrolled, we clicked on a specific location, we stored the text with value, this the name of the variable, whatever. This script is working, okay, and it gives us some information, but there's something that we can do here, and actually I've done it already. These are these options here, these echo commands. What I'm doing here is simply showing the value that these variables have. Okay, so if I put it after running the script, this if script for JavaScript, we can check which is the output for that. Okay, this will help us to see if the script is running fine, or if it's working unexpectedly for some reason, right? In this case, it's working correctly. This is the first thing that we can do. The second thing is checking the Pandora logs themselves. All right. First of all, etc Pandora server.conf. We need to configure server verbosity to 10. Okay, only for this debugging. We won't recommend to having this higher than 3 in production environments, but well, for this kind of checks, these processes, we need to configure it to 10, and tile saf var log pandora server.conf .log, and I will filter the information. okay, because otherwise we will get information that we are not interested in. So I will filter it with books and web, for example. Right? So right now I didn't do anything. This is the information that Pandora retrieves from the transaction being run at Docker, okay, at Selenium. Okay, we are getting the different steps that are run. Okay, in this case, for example, let's just stop it for a minute. As you can see, we are here checking this script, and the variables that we had here, as you can see, this month and last month, are being replaced correctly. Alright, so this is working. If it didn't, this is where we can see why it's not working, or what information this is showing, and so on. Okay, same here as before. We can get the output of the echo commands here. These echo commands, right? So as you can see, this helps us to debug these transactions. It can be very, very useful when we are trying to configure a very complex transaction, right? So I think that's everything I had for today. Do you have any questions? I know that, well, this transaction that we were seeing here is a bit complex, all right, and had some commands specific for Selenium, and they're not actually meant for starters. But the important thing that I wanted to show you is that Selenium can be as simple or as complex as we need. Okay, we can perform simple transactions that simply check a few links, or we can perform transactions with conditions depending on what we are retrieving, the amount of time that it takes to. All right, can be very useful. No questions? All right, perfect. So if there are no questions, I will close this workshop. Before we do that, I wanted to mention the next workshop will be dedicated to the meta console. All right, I have this. This meta console is the a console that allows you to control several Pandora FMS servers at once. All right, instead of using the different consoles from each of the servers, you have a single console in which we can configure or manage everything for our environment. Okay, it's going to be a very interesting workshop, and I've put a link in the description of this video. So in case you're interested, you can sign in and get a notification where we are going to start it. All right. So okay, please like this video if you found it useful. Subscribe for more videos and hit the bell to get a notification when we upload more. All right. Thanks for your attention and have a good one. Bye bye.